here we go, when people sit around and they talk about the problems. However, one thing they don't do is address the issues. And our solutions. Here's the issues. We can make issues out of people bickering regarding the economy, or we can take a look at certain factors involved in what has already been done and what we can expand on. All of the good done, and expand on the good, rather than exploit the bad and talk about it on the news and make a little money, getting people worked up and afraid, oh my gosh, civil unrest, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? Let's look at what people have done.
Thank goodness for government. It gives us rule of law that keeps the peace, makes sure no one physically attacks you or steals your property. America needs that. But today, our government does much more than that. Government today runs trains, subways, schools, parks, public housing, welfare, Medicare, Social Security, the war on drugs. It provides water, sewer systems, snow removal, trash collection, ambulances. It subsidizes students, farmers, Indians, researchers, volunteers, small businessmen, rich businessmen, and performance artists.
I'm sorry, America!
It inspects fruit, pickles, mattresses, toys, cars, garage doors, and barbecue grills. It polices the world, suppresses vice, and puts opera on TV.
It's very nice to have classical music on PBS. I like it, I listen to it, I watch it.
But, says Chapman University philosophy professor Tibor Machan, it's wrong to make Americans pay for programs they may not want.
This is the politicians substituting their judgment for our judgment. Exactly what gives them that right?
We elected them to do that. It's democracy.
If you believed in democracy being that bloated, you could vote haircuts democratically, you could vote ties democratically, you can vote everything, marriages democratically. The founders tended to believe that government should be restricted, it should be limited to the function of securing our rights.
The founding fathers never talked about a government giving people things. They said it should have limited duties like running the post office, the courts, and printing money. For 150 years, that's about all it did. The focus was on guaranteeing liberty.
Liberty is too precious a thing to be buried in books, Saunders.
When Mr. Smith came to Washington in the 30s, government was just beginning its explosive growth. Roosevelt's New Deal went beyond liberty. It promised people jobs, retirement benefits, health care.
Bill after bill pours into Congress from the White House. Whatever Roosevelt wants, he gets.
And every president since FDR, Democrat or Republican, signed on to this new idea of expanded government.
Strengthen the arts, fight teen pregnancy, prevent violence among young people, promote racial healing.
And we'll help all seniors afford prescription drugs.
Washington's become a kind of grab bag where people with demands line up in the streets.
Guaranteed access to life-saving drugs.
And the lobbyists line up inside.
They see the system there and they grab whatever they can from that system.
And who pays for it all?
Morning, Joe.
You do. Joe Taxpayer. These roofers in St. Louis have a brutal job, melting tar in 100-degree weather. Yet 1 out of every $3 they make doing this goes to the government.
Americans pay more in taxes than we do in food, clothing, and shelter combined.
Amity Schleys wrote The Greedy Hand, a book about what the government takes from us. You'd be surprised at what it takes from you. For example, Bill and Mary Thurston of St. Louis pay taxes all the time, even when they're not aware of it. At 4 in the morning, when Bill's alarm goes off, they're already paying 5% to the county for electricity. Brushing his teeth, 2 taxes on the toothpaste. A sewer fee for this. And when he takes a shower,
There's water tax. Money goes down that drain, too.
to drive somewhere, the Thurstons pay taxes for his truck and her minivan. And when they buy gas, they pay much more. Work is where Americans pay most of our taxes. Bill's one of those roofers we saw earlier, And while he and the rest of the crew are out slopping tar, it takes 2 employees back at the company's offices just to calculate how much to withhold from their paychecks.
It's gotta feel tight, okay?
Because Phil's wife Mary works as a nurse, the Thurstons pay a marriage tax.
Their marriage penalty bill is over $1,000.
Then there's the grocery tax, property tax, utility tax, 2 cable TV taxes, 7 taxes on the phone, and finally a sin tax.
43% of what Bill pays for that bottle of beer is taxes.
What this means is that Americans on average have to work until May of every year, 4 months, just to pay off your taxes. For 4 months you sweat, not for yourself, but to pay for all those benevolent government programs.
Government is never charitable, never generous, never benevolent, because what is involved in government giving is government taking.
Since government takes so much of your money, you'd think they'd be careful to keep track of it. But in fact, billions slip through the cracks. Maybe it's because the accounting process is so boring that few of us watch carefully. At these hearings, it's hard to stay awake.
These unique features justify moving the funding for these programs out from under the discretionary caps and mandatory side.
What reporter wants to attend these dull hearings when we can focus on the really important news?
You have sexual relations with the president?
We focus on this while the government loses track of your tax money.
Mr. Lane, can I ask you about this money?
You want to hear it?
At this hearing, they're about to discuss a little problem at the Pentagon. Somehow, billions of your tax dollars are unaccounted for.
They may have it, they just don't know where it is.
David Walker heads the GAO, the part of the government that's supposed to keep track of taxpayers' money.
How can you not find billions of dollars? If you saw how many systems that the Department of Defense had, with the lines of code, you would know the answer to that question. It is mind-boggling.
Walker says the Pentagon has spent billions on things they can't find.
If they have it, but they don't know that they have it, they may buy it again.
The Pentagon has acknowledged discrepancies in accounting for more than $2 trillion. What if a private company kept its books that way? I asked that.
Hey, here's something to ask. What if I wanted to invite myself into somebody's home to know what they're doing regarding us? Would they do it? That's my question. Rusty Dog, what's the deal, buddy? What is it? What is it? Will you tell me? Tell me, show me. Show me. I want him to show me. Show me. One time he showed me he wanted a treat. He went over and grabbed the file, like to play. I don't know what he wants now. You have to tell me. Tell me. The dog's psychic abilities aren't working. No, you have to tell me. Okay, show me. He pulls back. Let me put my hand on him, and then he'll pull back that way, so he wants me to get up, yes. And I ask him to show me what he wants, to take me to it, okay? And then I'll go to get up, and then he'll come back to me. So, he's gonna have to learn how to show me along what he wants. I don't want his hand all, his nose all in my hand. Anyway. It's water. These are the things we learn. Isn't it great? Oh yes. Oh, there's more. Stick around, hang out, chill out. Just be patient. Be patient. This is like a little tour we're going on. Just not much time. Come on. If I could put like most of my life into this, you can listen for a couple minutes, you know, a few hours here and there, no biggie. Take you on a tour around the whole world. We'll go everywhere. But it's important to recognize what's going on right here in the country.
Here in Washington, there are lots of experts, very smart people with specialized
experts.
knowledge who are convinced that they, through central planning you might call it, can run our lives better than we could left on our own.
yet again and again, but government experts have failed. They make things worse. Look what this department does.
Have you seen the war on drugs issue? Woo, buddy. Most importantly, listen to the elite professionals. Listen to the real experts. The ones who have worked in the field have been the real experts.
Department of the Interior has done.
You've heard about the catastrophic forest fires over the past few years.
Oh yes, I had a little report of my own. Now, in Oroville, California, there was a fire up in the mountains. So I used this as an opportunity to talk about California wildfires and how they get out of control and how we have so many inmates in our prison system who could be, say, cleaning up bottoms of the forest, and we could use it for mulch, for fertilizer elsewhere, for growing purposes, to help feed the world, you know, whatever we use the mulch for. At least clean up, you know, they do clearing in some places, but we need paths cut through the forest. I was on a fire crew, and we were dropped off in a helicopter and go and cut a fire path along and meet another crew somewhere else. So the fire would burn to where the path was, and we would hope it would burn out unless it jumped the line and started a spot fire, which then if the winds picked up and could carry into a much larger fire and so, or the fire may just jump the line completely. The wind could kick up and just push the fire through. Anyway, year-round, there could be a well enough system, like when they want PG&E poles put up, they'll make a pathway clear through the mountains. Wherever those PG&E poles need to go, they'll make that pathway. Now we need pathways concerning our fire prevention methods in California, for instance. And you know, it just went on for years and years and years. People would just be in and out of prison, and you know, the system there. Come on. So you would see these kinds of things. But I do have that report. It was kind of funny. I was silly in front of the camera because I was a little camera shy at the time. As you can tell, I'm no longer camera shy. So it was hard. It was a little difficult for me to do this report, but it came out okay. And I got little parts cut. I'll get to my parts where I cut and edit. But these issues are very serious issues. Yes, we say some are natural fires, and yes, man-made fires. But the issue is these are our trees, and we could find other man-made ways. If we could manipulate a gene, we can man-make ways to plant more trees, more forests, and have cleaner oxygen to clean our skies. This is like the Earth's natural filter system. The trees, the bushes, all the plants, to take in the bad air and give out the good air. However, as we're allowing this to happen and cutting them down, and there's clear cutting, you name it, depleting of the forests around the globe, you have to think of some solutions. And if there's the labor available, the people available, and they need to learn like working together, work skills, job skills, training skills, educational skills, a structure rather than sitting in a prison and people are conjuring up things because they're kind of angry at the world, angry at themselves, they hate themselves for what they did, they know they did wrong. A lot of them angry at the world, nothing's going to change for them, they'll never have an opportunity when they come out, because if they come out and they have a criminal record, there'll never be anything in this world. So, you know, it's a mad scene where people are just going, crazy, and we're having more gangs than we can keep track of, and we have no structure whatsoever. So I was thinking of a way of implementing structure into the California Department of Corrections, CDC, more integration with Department of Forestry. There's some camps, a few camps, but there's really not much to offer. And people's mansions are burned down. They like their mansions. Well, they don't care about the whole population of people anyway. Because everybody's going to be friggin' wiped off the earth, except for just the rich people. You know, why would they care if their mansions burned down? They'll be able to own a friggin' ranch with 100 million acres. You know what I mean? A castle. Kicking it with the friggin' drug narco. The drug narco. Narco-terrorist bulldozer. The bulldozer. Great. This is nice to know. Nice to know we have a world like this. Okay, so anyways, that was one of the things I wanted to address regarding fire. Alright. You're going to have to be innovative and you're going to have to be smart. You're going to have to be well-rounded concerning the issues. A lot of knowledge regarding the various factors, even all the way down to the scientific aspect of it. Yes, including scientific words. Now, you have a lot of fuel here. You have the right oxygen conditions. You're going to have to see in winds. You're going to see a raging fire like this, called wildfires. They're highly costly, and when they happen to California, any natural disaster happens, and if a state's already in debt, you can believe they're going to go more in debt dealing with a natural disaster. You could call it a federal emergency, then the money comes just to debt from everybody now. Debt from everybody. Here we have some houses engulfed in flames. Alright, let's just roll with it.
California, where the Department of the Interior lit a fire to try to get rid of a weed, this thistle.
Oh yeah.
They set the fire despite weather reports saying it would be windy.
This is an interesting story. Instead of getting guys out there just to, pick these things out of the ground, we're gonna start a fire. Burn up the mountains! Whoa!
It was windy. 24 people lost their homes. Patty Rocker was one.
Some idiot lit a fire when the wind was blowing. I think it's a criminal act.
The man from the Interior Department's a criminal?
He's untouchable. That was the attitude, the arrogance. Because I asked him, I says, had I got caught burning trash today, it would have been about a $2,000 fine. And this little guy looked me right dead in the eye and said, "You're just a homeowner. I'm a professional."
The fire not only destroyed homes, it failed even to eliminate the thistle, which grew back stronger than before. Government mismanagement of forests has led to fires all over the West. There's a lot of privately owned land here too, but it's...
Global warming. The polar bears. The polar bears on the ice caps. You win the Peace Prize. Those polar bears. The polar bears.
Better managed. The catastrophic fires were on government land. And if the Interior Department does a bad job managing land, you ought to see what happens when they try to manage people. Often, the more the government helps, the worse things get. Look at what they did to the first Americans.
They put us in a little cage here, called a reservation.
Chief Red Cloud, the leader of the Lakota Sioux tribe of Pine Ridge, South Dakota. The Sioux have been herded and controlled by the government for over 100 years. The result? This is now the poorest county in America. Unemployment's about 80%. People live on government checks.
Every month they receive some type of handout from the federal government. So our people become lazy and they don't want to work.
With nothing to do, many just drink.
I've been under the supervision of the federal government for a long time.
They messed us up, man. They messed us, man.
17-year-old Russell Blacksmith would like to help his tribe improve their lives. He wants to be chief someday, but he's not optimistic.
The federal government turned us into a concentration camp. We sit back and just live off government handout. It's been a trap. We need to stand on our own 2 feet.
We have the least life expectancy, less than Guatemala, less than Bolivia, Brazil. Hardly anyone reaches 65 anymore.
Activist Russell Means blames the Interior Department's Bureau of Indian Affairs, the agency that claims to help Indians by planning their lives.
We cannot make a plan or a decision without the express consent of the Secretary of Interior. We submit anywhere from 2 to 5 year economic plans. Does that sound like the Soviet Union, the old Soviet Union and their failed economic plans?
Most of the crimes against the Indians were that of the government. The government goes in and ruins their lives, and it comes up and says, hey, you need us. Come on in.
By contrast, look what's happened when a tribe managed to get some freedom from government control.
We decided that we're going to have to do something for ourselves.
Philip Martin is chief of the Choctaw tribe. The government put the Choctaw on a reservation in Mississippi, and for years they lived much like the Sioux.
Tuberculosis was rampant. Infant mortality was horrible. Babies were coming into hospitals, not being cared for, and going home and returning and dying in mother's arms.
But then the Choctaw petitioned Congress to give them special concessions that would allow them to try new things without having to go through so much red tape.
For the first time, we're able to make some changes.
Today, 20 years later, they have factories that generate hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. One makes stereo speakers, another wiring for cars, another makes plastic utensils for McDonald's. Every Indian who wants a job has one. They've even hired thousands of non-Indians from off the reservation. They've built their own schools and hospitals, and they've built 1,000 new homes.
I think if my grandparents were still living today, they would be so astonished at what all has happened and how much it's changed.
Makes you wonder, how does the Interior Department get away with it? Charged with helping Indians and given tax money to spend billions on them, they created the poorest people in America.
But they still tell the world we're taking care of our poor little Indians.
The Bureau of Indian Affairs can't even keep track of the Indians' money. More than $2 billion of it is unaccounted for.
Yet no one is even reprimanded. No one's indicted. No one's demoted. No one is fired. No one is even named.
Just more billions lost in the bureaucracy. And where might the money be? I wanted to ask then Secretary of the Interior, Bruce Babbitt. He agreed to an interview, and his staff had us set up our camera gear in his conference room. But when Babbitt arrived, he seemed to change his mind.
I'm not sure why I'm here. I mean, you know, another expose. It's all in a day's business, I understand. Okay, well, let's have at it.
Okay. But before I could ask him anything, he decided he didn't want to talk.
I'm going to fire whoever scheduled this interview.
Why?
Well, what's the name of the show?
We haven't titled it yet. It's probably...
okay. The government is wasting your money. They are corrupt and incompetent.
Well, maybe he's telling us the truth for once. Is he telling us the truth, Rust? See, it comes out if that's the first thing that comes to mind. It's like, we want to ask you a couple of questions about something coming up missing. Oh, what's this about? Are you saying, let's see, I'll bet you it's about we're corrupt. How'd you guess? Good guess. You get the Nobel Prize for a good guess. Good guess. Is that the first thing that came to mind? Are you really stealing taxpayers' money? Well, must be. It's such a good guess. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Wow. Little guilt conscience, eh? They came to visit me after I was making some progress. They'll be handing me Man of the Year award. You know what I mean? Good Person of the Year award. So, if somebody came with a camera, I'd say, how you doing? Show some progress, we'll show some work. Team would show them, of course. I wouldn't have to. A team of people with their studio equipment and such. Yeah, let's talk about it. Well, let's show you. I'll take you along and show you the work. Let's not say, oh, whoever brought these cameras along, and I was kind of in private and secrecy and didn't want people to ask any questions to me. I just want to work without anybody's involvement, although I work for everybody. You know what I mean? And we handle billions of dollars of people's taxpayers' money. And first thing that comes to mind when somebody goes in front of a camera is, oh yeah, what are you here for? So I'll bet it's about the government's corrupt and we're stealing. See, they always want to, here's what they want to do. Don't let them do this. Each and every individual, we're all individuals. When we were kids and we were students in school, we didn't call ourselves the school. You know what I mean? We did not call ourselves the school. What we were students in the school. The school was the car. We were students, the drivers. Some of us didn't drive as good as others. Some learned, drove better. So anyway, we were students in a school. Now, what some people do in the government as an individual is use overall, you're going to blame the government for the problem. Well, there's good people in government and then there's bad people in government. But what they like to do is label. Keep this in mind, label. So when one gets caught doing something or has something to hide, shameful or guilty, defense, very defensive. Have something to hide, like I said, and they don't want to be in front of cameras, first of all, and they don't want to be asked any questions. And then they'll jump to defense, say, the government, you want to attack the government, right? No, not really attack the government, but there's people in the government that are like students in the school, government workers working in the government. Big difference, individuals, but they'll say, oh, you want to attack the government, right? It's the government. So if like there's 20 people involved in a criminal act and using a branch of the government, that's 20 people. If 20 people say, oh, you just think it's the whole government, try to twist it. No, that's not what we're saying here. What we're saying is people misuse their powers of the government. They become corrupt and we catch them stealing money and rigging elections and involved in corrupt business, working with drug dealers or cartels and involved in different operations. Everybody's individual doing their own little thing in a branch throughout. So, when people say that, oh, you're just attacking the government. See, we need to really define the government. We need to go back to history class or something. Define the government. The government itself is set to do something for the people. People getting hold of positions in the government and changing good to bad, then it's not the government doing it. Listen, that's not people individually would like you to think it's against the whole government. You know what I mean? Please. We know the difference and we know what the government is. The government is the school, okay? The government workers, all the politicians and such, are the students in the school. Each and every individual one can cheat on a test. Each and every one can skip school. Each and every one could get straight A's. And each and every one could be the class clown. And each and every one could be the chauvinistic. Each and every one could be the hot shot. Each and every one could be the hottest. Each and every one could be the prettiest. Each and every one could be the, you know what I mean? Each and every one. Each and every individual has their own choice to make, their own individual choices based upon their honor, dignity, respect, if they have any, self-respect. They'll show it. If they're not honest, if they can't tell the truth, if they have secrets to keep and all this stuff going on, then they don't have those qualities. And we know we're dealing with narco-terrorists and dangerous people around the world, and we create people to become dangerous, and it's just out of whack. It's just crazy. And this isn't what it was intended to be. Use the powers of and just go haywire on the planet. Just go crazy, berserk, and get everybody killed. Kitty? Well, let's see, Kitty. Some people are planning for civil unrest when there could be rest. So, does it sound deliberate to you? Does it sound deliberate to you?